Present.
Okay, the next item is pledge of allegiance. For you all rise. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For all you who would like to remain standing, Lord, as we gather today at this meeting, we ask that you will be in our midst. Help us to make decisions that will be pleasing to you. Help us to be able to discuss the matters at hand in a responsible way and be willing to give up having our own way. God, let this meeting be productive and should be in all areas of our lives, should be in all areas of our lives. Help our minds as we do the work set before us. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is President's comments.
Evacuation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I did miss that. Emergency evacuation plan, please.
Been waiting all night for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Superb as usual.
Okay,
Town
thank you,
Sergeant.
Town Sergeant. Sorry, I overlooked that. Okay, the next item is President's comments. Hopefully, we've all had a good summer. Unfortunately, winter's coming, and it's going to come up faster than we think. So, with that being said, I hope we're all prepared. Hope we get ready. It's coming up the holiday season. Now, the thing I want to mention most is we're still actively looking for participants in boards and commissions. So I have a small list here of openings that are in some boards and commissions. So I'm going to read them off, and hopefully the people at home and the people here can mention to any of their friends who would like to get actively involved in the community. We have an opening in a juvenile hearing board, a full member opening. We also have a full member opening in the Pawtucket River Authority. We also have one full member opening in the planning board. We have one full and two alternate openings in the sewer subcommittee. We have one alternate member opening in the zoning board. We have 4 full member openings in the Historic District Commission. And we have 1 full member in the Conservation Commission. So I ask that anybody who would like to donate some time and work towards the community, please take that into consideration and speak to anybody, and we certainly do need the help. All right. With that being said, we'll go to C1, Madam Clerk.
Approval of Town Council minutes, September 19th and September 23rd.
Okay, we've had a chance to look at them. Are there any questions, any concerns? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to accept the minutes from as read. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk, C2.
Finance report by Director.
Good evening, Council. So I'll make this a little bit quick. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to try to answer as best as I can with the information that I have in front of me. Same thing as always, the same format I've always presented here. Keep in mind the percentage to the budget as we're moving through, keeping summer to winter adjust seasonally, and that's different percentages apply differently to smaller budgets. So something that changed a little bit for collections and revenues, rather than going to a levy as far as how much we're getting to that, I did it to a target rate of collection. It just it makes a lot more sense considering what your collections are year over year. It can get better with, it makes it for budgeting purposes. It makes it a little bit easier that way. Something that you'll notice here is the real estate taxes prior. We did really well. There's a big chunk of that which came in from one individual that paid up tens of thousands of dollars. So that was a little higher than anticipated. Also bear in mind with real estate taxes prior that once you collect taxes from prior years, that weren't paid up. They're no longer available to be paid in the future years. So just having a really high collection rate from previous years does not constitute that we're going to continue to have high collection rate from previous years' taxes. Our tax assessor, or our tax collector does a really great job, so there's not a whole lot out there. Most of the stuff that is in the real estate taxes in prior years are actually small dollar amounts like motor vehicles or revolving around center of New England. So difficult to collect or very small dollar amounts. But large first quarter came in, so we would look for around that 25% mark, which we are. Going through, we're a little bit over on information tech, but that's nothing substantial. We just had some large expenditure that came out of it, but we're still fine on there. Everything here is pretty normal. The tax assessor, there was a budget that we're in the middle of a reval this year, so that was a piece that was for the first payment to the company that's doing the reevaluation. Overall police budget, just a little bit high for the police department. That's driving that on the bottom. But overall, through the budget, it's pretty normal. As we all know, a lot of people come out during the summer months versus the winter months, so you kind of expect a little bit more overtime. There are employees that are police officers that are out as well, so they had incurred a little bit of overtime over the past that month too. So that drove that right there. Same thing as what we got here as last time. We just paid the engineering piece this month, so that's actually coming in. The bills are actually, we're paying them on time rather than coming back like it was last year. We're paying them as they're incurred versus the little bit of delay. As you see there in the line above, that's why it was significantly lower than it is this year. So that's just because we're more on top of it. Play department, again, there's been a lot going on here. Just been a lot, and Russ can attest to this. So it's a little bit over, but I don't foresee this being an issue going forward over the long term, but we will be keeping our eye on this one. Public services, so recreation department is, again, this is summer. So they are in their high point season, and their expenditures are up, they're resodding, getting everything ready. So it's a little bit high. But again, another one that we're going to be looking at. General update, the audit is continuing on thus far. We have pushed extremely hard to get everything done, especially with everything that's going on with the school side as well. And we are looking to end up on time. Everything that we've done so far seems to point in that direction. So we're still working hard. We're still working with the auditors. I'm just continuously working with them, the school as well as us. So,
barring any unforeseen circumstances, we should have it done on time with an on-time audit this year.
Yep, that is the goal. I'm going as hard as I can on that. We have a financial system. There's an RFP out right now. Oh, is there a question?
I kind of was just wanted to kind of know where things are happening with the school, software problem that happened, and are we, how much of resources are we using to get them, or are we helping them get back on board there?
Fortunately, when they recovered the data, FY19 was totally intact, and it had already been beyond that, so they had closed out. So we were very lucky on that point.
Okay.
It's if FY20 where they're combining the data from the what they refer to as the lifeboat server that they put back up to be able to operate, and then the recovered data. So they were working on combining that, which is just about complete on that. There's still a lot of things they're working on, but as far as the financial data, they're in good shape. They've come a long way. They've put a lot of effort into it.
So it's not as dire.
No, the school department, I've got to give them a lot of credit. They've done a great job on getting all of that back together, getting hit with with ransomware is a tough situation, and they've been able to recover a substantial.
Great.
So it's been good. They've done a great,
Well, that's
compliment
good.
them.
Well, that's good news.
I'd like to also say that even though there's no good time to be hit with ransomware, as far as a period of the year in which it could have potentially happened, the following week would have been the only other week in the entirety of the year where it would have been a better situation. So considering when it happened, that we got the data back, and what's been having to go on, we count ourselves, quote, fortunate in a bad situation. So.
Well, thanks for your work.
The financial system RFP, that's something, as you all are aware of, our current system is sunsetting, and we're hoping that we might be able to get a little bit extended period, but we have to assume that we're not going to. So there's a financial system RFP out right now to replace what we have. That is going well. We have received a few responses thus far as to the RFI put out last month, but there are some potential vendors coming in already that have been sending back and forth with questions. I've also done a little bit extra research going up to Cumberland, which is in the exact same situation as us. The finance director up there allowed me to come up and actually see some of their demonstrations. So I have been able to see some demonstrations of potential vendors that could come in. So just to get myself some additional research options. So it is going well as far as the contacts that have been made thus far. And so that's up on the state website as well. So the opening of that bid will be on Friday. So that's when that will be taking place. And so that's about it. And the expenses per department is acceptable, but it's the very first, as we are only 2 months in for this one. By the next meeting, I will have all the way through September. September. It's the next one. So, any questions?
It's going quick.
Way too
John,
fast.
thank you very much for that. It was an in-depth explanation. Are there any questions from the council? Okay, well, thank you very much for that report. Appreciate it, John.
Have a good
Thank
evening.
you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is item 3. We're gonna table that in light of, we're missing 2 council members, sick and working and so on. So I think we should all be present for this explanation.
I agree. There's an extensive amount of data that we've collected on this over the last couple of weeks, and I would prefer to have all members present. Mrs. Bacon was the one that actually started the process for doing all of it. So we put quite a bit of time into this, and I'd like to at least have everybody here when we give it out.
All right, do we need a motion to table it, or are we just not, Mr. Solicitor?
This comes up each time. You don't really need a motion.
Okay, so we'll just table it, and, all right, fine. Okay, the next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk, I think it's C4, please.
Approving FY20 budget calendar.
Okay, I've looked at the budget calendar, and of course, anything can be changed as we go along, if we see fit, but the budget calendar looks fine to me. We go through this every year. It's pretty standard. Is there any questions from anybody from the council?
I just want to mention, President McGee, that I will be missing probably 2 of these meetings,
Okay.
just to let you know
All right.
in advance.
Yep, and we will, you just let me know when we get closer to the time.
Absolutely.
Yep. But with that being said, I have no questions with it. I mean, a lot of this is internal, before we get to the budget hearings and so on. So I guess it's I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the budget calendar.
We have a motion to approve. Do you have a second?
I second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay. The next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk, C5, please.
Resolution authorizing Nathaniel Green Monument Foundation, Inc. to erect a statue on town property located at 1670 Flat River Road, Town Hall.
Okay, we had discussed this last meeting, and we had a very fine presentation by Mr. Joel John. Right, Joel, you gave us a nice presentation. I appreciate that. We discussed it, and we were just going to. You want to?
Well, just, I don't know if the council saw what the resolution is actually to allow us,
I did.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
To negotiate with the group And then once we have a finalized, because we need to cover insurance and a bunch of other factors that are involved in this, that we need to sit down and do. We'll do that, and then we'll come back with that finalized proposal to the council for approval. So the resolution is authorizing us to actually have.
Negotiation.
Exactly.
Okay, and I know the committee has put a lot of hard work into it. I think ultimately we're just looking to give them permission to put the monument at the property at the congregation.
Correct. We just need to make sure that we've got all the safeguards in place, and I'd rather do it through negotiations and set up a contract with that the council approves, just so we're all covered, everybody, the group as well as the town.
All right, and you have a
Mr.
question?
Manager, I was happy to hear you say that this negotiated contract was going to come back to the council. Therefore, I would like to amend the resolution because I would like it to say that the town council hereby authorizes the interim town manager to enter into negotiations and present the subsequent agreement with the Nathaniel Green Monument Foundation to the town council for vote.
Well, it does say for approval.
For what?
It does say that. It says, on town property to the town council for approval.
For approval?
We may have to bring it back to
Be the
approval.
vote.
You're authorizing us to negotiate,
Negotiate, but you're going to bring it back.
and
to
it comes
us
back
for
according to the
final-
resolution
the
for
final
approval.
Okay, as long
Yes.
as that's there and clear. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
so with that being said, if there are no other questions or comments, the chair entertain a motion.
I'll move that, so we accept that resolution.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
And we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk, D1, please.
Resolution awarding bid for fit out for 11-foot reversible snowplow, hydraulics, and lighting.
Okay, Kevin, I guess you get some information on that?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Several meetings ago, you folks authorized the purchase of a 10-wheeled Freightliner dump truck. At that time, I told you that we'd be coming back out with the RFP for the snowplow, the hydraulics, and the lighting. We went out to bid. We received 2 bids. They came in at what we anticipated for a budget and are meeting the time frame for delivery that we specified in the RFP. Before you is a resolution authorizing this fit out to a company called Equipment Service, 40 Airport Road in Hartford, Connecticut, in the amount of $23,942. I respectfully submit this for your action.
Okay, we looked it over. Is there any questions from anybody from the council? We knew this was coming. If there's no questions, chair entertain a motion.
Move that we approve the resolution for the contract.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you, ladies
sir.
and gentlemen.
All right. The next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk, would be D2, please.
Resolution authorizing the town manager to sign a DEM grant application for land trust purchase of Heritage Homes, Inc.
I love the word grant, so if you would please explain that, that would
We
be
have,
great.
we have Mr. Wagner, and he will explain this.
Okay, great.
Yes, good evening. A number of months ago, you authorized us to enter into an agreement to purchase a 100-acre parcel out near the Stonegate development. Subsequent to that, DEM opened up the grant application window for the next round of open space grants. We think that this is a great property to put in for the open space grants. As you know, they will grant up to $400,000 or 50% of the value of the purchase, which could potentially fund half of the acquisition here. The property is situated directly adjacent to our Bodewin and Grote purchases, some Audubon purchases. So we really have high hopes for this. In order to apply, one of the things we have to submit is a resolution authorizing the town manager to sign off on the grant applications and authorizing him to follow through with related expenditures such as paying for surveys and title work on the acquisition should they proceed to approve the grant.
When would you find out? Any idea of?
A lot of that's going to depend on how many grant applications DEM gets and the quality of those applications that come in. They have a fixed amount of money to go out the door. So, you know, if they get a lot of very good applications, they're going to have a tough time divvying up the money.
So with your expertise, you feel as though we have a pretty good chance of getting something on this?
I think because of the size of the parcel, as well as its proximity to other conserved lands, that makes it a rare opportunity. We also hired a biologist to go out and walk the property in order to help us complete the habitat assessment information that's part of the grant application. And I think that will also play out well for us.
Okay, great. Is there any questions for the council?
I have a question. You said the town may incur an expense for survey work, et cetera, but I thought that this kind of work was done by the land trust in order, before they even entered into an agreement. So wasn't there any kind of survey work done?
Well-
Title work done before they took the ownership of this?
No, I mean, that all goes into any sort of real estate purchase. We did do informal reviews of the title and the deeds, and we have, because it was a development project before us, we have a lot of development information. We do not have a survey stamped by a surveyor yet. So hopefully the work that we have can be used to reduce the cost of the surveys. And the title work has to be done by a professional title attorney. We haven't incurred that cost yet. Now, the survey and the title work are costs that can be reimbursed. 50% of those costs can be reimbursed as part of the grant as well. So we can hopefully get some of that money back. And I believe if the solicitor will confirm, acquisition costs like that related to a specific property can come out of the trust account as well.
Yes.
Correct? Yes. So those wouldn't come out of day-to-day operational expenses for the town.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Sure.
I've got a question.
Yes, absolutely.
With the open space grants like this, I mean, for open space, what restrictions are placed on the use of the land?
Well, part of what you should have received tonight is a copy of the DEM standard conservation easement. There is a requirement that the property be held in perpetuity for conservation purposes. So in this case, that will mean, no more than passive recreational use.
I mean, hiking trails?
Hiking trails, yes.
Type of things.
Yeah,
and-
you won't be cutting it up into soccer fields or
Yeah,
anything like
no,
that.
no land clearing, et cetera.
Correct.
But connections to, say that it's along the bike path over there.
Well, and that's really what we hope to do. There is already a path that goes from the end of Bramblebush Road
Yep.
up back to Ledge Road, and directly across Ledge Road, we have a new trailhead for the trails going down into Grote and Bodewin.
Yep.
And from those properties, you can get to the bike path. So we will increase access to all of the properties that we have here, both from the streets in Stonegate and from the bike path. I think this is a great opportunity for the town.
That's right, but it does give people access to the property.
Yes.
Again, hiking trails, et cetera. Now, is that something that we as a town could develop, those type of trails that would be in there, or strictly by people just haphazardly choosing the same path of what they do?
Well, we do have a couple of members of the land trust here. I think the intent is to actually go in and cut some additional trails in there. I don't think we're intent to just leave it as the one that we have. And we would do something, allow the the topography to dictate where we go with the trails and what we think people might be interested in seeing. This particular property happens to have a great deal of variation in topography. There's a 100-foot, 130-foot height differential from the highest point to the lowest point, and it goes from, you know, high hardwood forest to low swamp forest, and then off into some pine stands as well. So it's an interesting piece of property.
Beautiful. Thank you, Brian.
I would just mention that when I was on the land trust, before I was on the school committee and the town council, I did hike that property when we were doing a site visit. So I'm very familiar with the property, and it is very nice property to have.
Yes, it is.
Okay, if there's no other questions, guess, is it, Chair will make a motion, entertain a motion.
To make that motion now. Seeing as you've hiked the property, would you like to make the motion?
Certainly. I make a motion to authorize the town manager to sign a DEM grant application for land trust purchase of Heritage Homes Incorporated.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I will second that
And we
motion.
have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries, thank you very much. Okay, the next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk, D3, please.
Resolution appointing 2 council members, 2 school committee members, and 5 electors of the town to a school building committee.
Okay, we did have some interviews on this
8.
building committee.
8.
It was 8 interviews, and we had to pick 5. And I don't know if anybody that I will name off on this list is still here. Of course, we need to vote to approve this list. You want me to read the list off first, Mr. Solicitor, of everybody that has been chosen?
I think, yeah, you can just make
Yeah,
a
well,
motion of who
yeah.
is to be appointed.
Okay.
among-
As I said, the motion will be, it's 2 council members, school committee, the school committee meeting is, I believe, this week, later this week, so I don't know the school committee members that are gonna be on it. So we're just looking, next week, so we're just looking to appoint 2 council members and 5 electors from the school this evening, all right? So, and those council members will be Mr. LeBossonier and Mrs. Dixon, and the members of electors of the town will be Alita Hall, Christine Kennedy, John Priest, Bob LeVake, and Wesley Restall. Are there any of those people here this evening? Okay, I guess, well, first of all, we'll make a motion.
We're not quite done.
Okay,
We've also, part of this resolution also adds into this, the members of the committee that were part of the RIDE requirements. And the school department has already named those people. And what I'm proposing we do is we just add all of those names in. We'll adjust, we're going to amend the original resolution, adding in those additional names from the school department. That way, you'll be approving everyone. All on one, approving them. Yes, would you like to, sir?
No, you can read them in.
Reading those into the record, on the town council, the school committee side, it will be Kathy Patnode and Luke Murray would be the 2 members from the school committee. There would also be Jason Martin is the buildings director. We have a Joseph Lucerne? Luke? Lucian. I think I better get some glasses.
Is that what you want me to read?
Yeah, would you?
Mr. Wozika, there are no places on this resolution.
No, he's
for
got-
We're gonna add them in, we're gonna amend it,
Oh,
we're gonna add them in.
You're gonna amend this particular resolution?
I
Okay.
should have printed that bigger.
I do have a pair of glasses. So I'm gonna-
The other
I
green
do
ones.
have a pair of glasses, so I'm going to continue with the reading. Just to clarify, Joseph Lucian, will be appointed as school principal from a subject school, and also Amy Anzalone as a principal from a subject school. Mr. Lucian is at the Alan Sean Feinstein Middle School, and Amy Anzalone is from the Western Coventry Elementary School. Additionally, Don Cowart will be appointed as a member who has knowledge of the educational mission and function of the facility. And finally, Sarah Mangiarelli will be appointed as a local budget official or member of the local finance committee. All of those who I have read off, and also Jason Martin, who Mr. Warzika read off as further appointments to be approved by the town council. Those are the appointments that are being made pursuant to the Rhode Island Department of Education regulation, which mandates that certain people be made appointees of the school building committee. And it's necessary to do that, because if you don't do that, you don't have any chance for any of the money.
And there are two additionals, which would be, they are not voting members of the committee, but the superintendent of schools, as well as the solicitor, Mr. Gorham, are also on it.
I think we're each ex officio.
Yes, you are.
Except in the case of the superintendent.
If there's a tie.
If there is a tie vote, then the superintendent may vote. So,
Okay, so we will get a revised, I'll come in. sign-
Tomorrow, and you'll be able to sign the revised. We're gonna have all the names on there.
Okay,
but
so,
it's necessary that you vote tonight. As
Yes,
you know, this
absolutely.
is a rather expeditious process.
and we all have a copy of that also. Are there any questions from the council? I know time is of an essence on this committee, so we really do have to get moving on it. So I guess with that being said, the chair will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve all of the parties named to this resolution.
As amended.
As amended, correct.
Okay,
As to be amended.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay, I think we
Mr.
have,
President,
yes.
I just want to mention one thing, please. I'd like to mention that we were very impressed with all of the people who submitted applications to us. We received 11 applications, and we were able to interview most of those people this evening who were available to come. We hope that people will consider other positions and boards and commissions that we do have available. But every single person that we interviewed had something to offer, and it was a very difficult decision for us to make who would be on this particular committee. We expect that there will be other building committees formed as the process goes on, so people feel free, if you're not on the list this evening, to apply again.
Oh, very, very well said. Yeah, we were really impressed. We had a lot of good applicants, and I wish we had, that many, to volunteer for all our positions. So, once again, the people who are here, I believe John Priest and Bob LeVake, are you here? Both of you here? If you'd come forward and we'll swear you in. And the rest of the people will get sworn in at their convenience.
Should we go up there too, Greg?
He's got, oh, us to be sworn in?
Yeah,
I don't believe that.
I don't think council needs to. We don't need.
okay, good.
If you'd like to go get sworn in again, you're welcome. I'm comfortable.
Do you solemnly swear that you will be true and faithful into the state and support the laws and Constitution thereof, the Constitution of the United States of America, and that you will well and truly execute the office of members of the School Building Committee, John Priest and Bob LeVake, for which you have been appointed to the Cottage, Rhode Island, for a term ensuing or until others be engaged in your place, or until you be legally discharged therefrom, so help you God. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good luck to you. Enjoy the role.
Right. Thank you.
Like we said, we can't emphasize how impressed we were with the list of candidates we had. So they really were. The whole list was just, I wish we could have put everybody on the committee because it was that impressive. So, okay, with that being said, Madam Clerk, D4, please.
Resolution authorizing sale of surplus equipment valued in excess of $5,000. Home Rule Charter 56-22, surplus stock and equipment.
Okay, you want to give an explanation of that?
I will give an explanation for that.
Okay.
What this is the charter requires that anytime we are disposing of surplus, excess, unused equipment, we have procedures that we must follow, one of which is to see if anyone else wants it. That fails, then we can sell it. If it's less than $1,000 in value, the department head can authorize the sale. If it's 1,000 to 5,000, the town manager can authorize the sale. If it is in excess of 5,000, the council has to make that authorization, based on also a competitive bidding process. We've, DPW had a couple of pieces of equipment that they were selling at the last sale with a bunch of others. During the process, the bids came out and went beyond the $5,000 range. At that point, we had to pull them because we didn't have approval. We didn't know they were gonna go that high. They did. They went over the 5,000. So we're gonna be putting them back out to bid. We need to be able, Kevin needs to be able to transfer the property within a couple of days. After they buy it and when they win it in the bid, they want to come in, grab the equipment and go. That's why they're buying it. What I'm looking to do is get the council to allow me to authorize those competitive bids when they come in beyond the $5,000, because we know these two pieces of equipment, Will, they already have.
And this is solely for the surplus sale.
Correct. There's two pieces of equipment that I brought out. It's the Komatsu excavator and a international truck that are definitely going to come over the $5,000 range.
Can we have Kevin come
Yeah.
up and just tell us what happened at the last bid, so we'll be aware of how we were unable to sell?
Good evening once again. What happened is this is solely for the online auctions that we held for our surplus equipment, the stuff that was broken and not usable. We had two pieces that came. One gentleman wanted to buy it for a farm, another one wanted to have both off-road uses. Because all the auction sites have a 10-day window in which, once the auction ends, that the bidder has to pick it up and the town has to provide the documentation for it. Well, this happened in August, and you folks had one meeting, and we extended beyond that. So I ended up pulling the $11,000 bid that we had for the excavator off because we could not provide it. And then we pulled the 10-wheeler right off because I said, you don't need to do that because we have a $10,000 reserve. I need to be able to put this back out on the online auction site, and whatever that number happens to come in at, to be able to provide the documentation in the council to approve whatever that price happens to come, if it comes in over $5,000, which I'm confident one will have a $10,000 reserve. And if we got 11,000 one time, there's no reason to think that we wouldn't get 11,000 or as close to that on the second time. And that's all.
We missed the opportunity to sell it.
We did.
Okay. So are there any questions from the council?
What the council is authorizing in this resolution is to allow me to ratify those sales. So basically, you're transferring your authority down to me just on these two pieces of equipment, nothing else, just so we don't get stuck where they're sitting there and we have to wait till the next meeting. By that point, the purchasing or the winning bidder is going, forget it, I don't want it now.
There's $20,000 that we could.
Correct. So that's why we're trying to prevent that proactively.
Okay, do you have a question?
I have a question. In other words, we're selling this stuff. Why is it the purchasing agent whereas the purchasing agent, we're not buying anything, we're selling it.
But it comes in under, that's how it's written.
And why would we put a top limit on an auction?
This
This is
was
something that's got to be
designed-
changed.
When the charter was done, sir, this was not what the design was. Nobody had online auctions in mind. This was that we're going to advertise something, or something was going to go out, a piece of property was going to be out, it had to be authorized by the town council. This wasn't the intent, have an online auction to be part of this. It wasn't thought of when the charter was done.
Yeah, but it's,
This needs to be-
So this is not just, it's actually part of the charter that states this.
No,
Or
it's
is it
it's
a
part of the
ordinance?
code.
Part of the code.
It says the charter on the agenda. That doesn't affect the propriety of the notice. But for clarification, in the future, the town council may want to consider amending this so that it is more amenable to online auctions. But for right now, the town manager is correct. All you're doing is you're giving him the discretion to review and ratify that this sale is sufficiently bid and the price is good enough that it can be approved. You're just giving him that authority because it's not practical to have a town council meeting right after an online auction. You just can't do it. So that's all you're doing.
And this is something we're gonna be looking to make a
in the
change to,
future,
because,
yes, absolutely.
yeah,
We have quite a few that we need to look at changing as we move along.
the rock.
Mr. Dixon, you have any comments, any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I just had one other question. What were you expecting to get for the one that we got the bid for 11,000?
Not 11,000, that's for sure. The guy
There was a
wanted-
lot of that.
In checking it, the guy wanted to buy it for the cracked frame, didn't make a difference to him. He was gonna use it on the farm.
But as
So-
far as now, on these surplus pieces, again, where you put a $10,000 minimum on the other one, or a
I will put the $10,000 reserve on the 10-wheeler, but I don't want to put it,
yeah, didn't want to do it on the other one.
now I can put a $5,000 reserve on the excavator. I know there's a value to it, but whether or not that same
Yeah.
bidder is gonna be available,
Well,
I don't
yeah,
know.
We don't know that.
He may,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
If you look in your paperwork, you will see almost 2.5 pages of bids
Just, yeah.
that came in on that one piece of
Yeah,
equipment,
on that one.
back and forth. I mean, it was a good auction. It jumped the price.
Say, like I said, it's too bad that we weren't able to move forward with it. So
That's
I think that, again, we need to address this,
Sooner than later.
Yes.
You can feel my angst. So-
Yeah, I understand. And $20,000 is almost the price that we want to buy a plow for, so it's something that we could be using, so.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So with that being said, if there's no other questions, I guess the chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve this resolution authorizing the sale of the surplus equipment, or authorizing the manager to determine the values.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
I second the motion.
And we have a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, and the next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak? Yes, Town Sergeant. Let me look at my paperwork here. Okay, no, okay. Okay, is there anybody from the public who'd like to make a comment? Anybody from the public? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn,
Motion
yes.
to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you very much for coming out to the meeting tonight.